Welcome to Single Shot. We're going to discuss types of frames today and what they're used for, and a few things that folks should know about what's going on with these weapons. I have a few of the different types. Thompson Center is one of my main firearms that I use with these single shot weapons. And they make two kinds of frames, or three kinds of frames. They make the Thompson Center G2, which is very similar to the Contender. They make the Contender, which was the start of everything as far as those frames concerned. And they also make the Encore, which is the strongest of the three, made for the higher pressure cartridges. To start off with the TC Contender, this is the Contender version 2. The reason why I say version 2 is that on this hammer, on the older versions, it has a screw on the top, and that makes for your fire selection. I'll get that as best as I can get to you there. There's two pins on this hammer. There's one for centerfire, one for rimfire. That screw was in the face of this hammer, like this one here is, right here. This is the type, the older type, that started it. You changed that screw position to select which firing pin that you wanted to use on this particular frame. The newer version has a screw on the top with a flip lever. That shows you which way you want to go for either centerfire or rimfire on this particular frame. These are usually engraved on the sides. As you can see, they have a pretty nice mural on each side. These are made specifically for the first or lowest pressure cartridges, like your 30-30, your 35 Remington, 44 Magnum, etc. These are the ones that you want to use for that particular class of cartridges. Anything that's below 30,000 psi or CUP. Otherwise, if you try to use the higher pressure cartridges, number one, the Encore barrels will not fit this frame. They're not designed to fit this frame. This frame is only for the G2 barrels, Type 2 barrels, and your regular Contender barrels. Therefore, you have the lower pressure cartridges. This is a single action. It locks back. When I have the barrel in here, in a later video, I'll show how that actually happens. Right now, it doesn't have a grip, or a forend, or a barrel. That's what you got to have to use this frame. Now, there's something I've got to make mention to, and folks ought to check into this as well. If you buy one of these frames, whatever that frame serial number is issued to, rifle or pistol, it has to go into that configuration. Otherwise, if you put a pistol barrel on a rifle serialized frame, you're going to have an SBR, which is illegal unless you have a class 3. So now it goes one way, but it doesn't go the other. You can take a rifle frame and use a shotgun on it, a muzzle loader. You can use pistol barrels on just a pistol frame. Like I say, if you change that according to some laws that I've researched, then you've got to stay out of that realm of having an SBR. This frame, you'll notice, is quite a lot of difference. There's no engraving on it. Some of these Encore frames do have engraving. Some of them are very nice. It's stainless steel. They even have some gold inlaying on them. You're going to notice that this is a whole lot more wide than this. contender frame is. You get these together here so you can see the difference. That's because this Encore frame, this particular one, is centerfire only. And this is made for the higher pressure cartridges, 308, 30-06, 444 Marlin, any of the higher class, or higher pressure class cartridges that are being produced these days. Now, some of these barrels that you can get for this frame or this frame through a few other resources is what we call the Wildcat calibers. This Encore frame, you can get them chambered in just about everything that's out there as far as a Wildcat cartridge is concerned. You notice that this hammer, this action won't cock unless it's got a barrel on it. So this hammer, it does not have a selector, if you can see that. So it is centerfire only. You've only got one firing pin in the frame. Again, this particular frame was set up as a rifle, so it has to have a rifle stock and a rifle barrel. The functionality of these frames, the versatility is very, very good as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to have a single shot weapon, you ought to have something that's got good versatility. This can take, this Encore frame can take a shotgun barrel, it can take a muzzle loader barrel, and also your high pressure rifle cartridges. I've got quite a few that fit this frame. This one here, you can get muzzle loader barrels for it, but it's not designed for the higher pressure cartridges, because what happens is that pressure will press back on this section right here on this frame, and it'll actually warp it. That's why they did not set up these frames for the higher pressure cartridges. This is, by the way, these two frames are the only parts of this weapon that are serialized. You can get different types of forends, you can get different types of stocks. We'll get into those a little bit later into the series. But as far as accuracy is concerned with these setups, you've got your full pressure that's being used on that cartridge. There's no functioning parts as far as opening it up and closing it. It's like a single shot shotgun. And your cartridges can be changed out the same way. The barrels do not have automatic ejectors. Some of them did. They come out with a very short run of those barrels that had them. They had too much trouble with those particular barrels, so that idea was thrown away. As I was mentioning, with the accuracy on those, it's very accurate. You've got your full effect of your chamber pressure pushing that bullet down the barrel. There's no loss, and they're very easy to use. I enjoy them. The barrels are set up so you can put iron sights on them, or scopes, or electronic sight, whatever, and they're very versatile. I've got a couple things going here in the background. Sorry about that. But I've had these weapons for many years, and a few of them went through the house fire that I had down in Georgia about 6.5 years ago, and they were in a safe. Some of the barrels was in a separate cabinet that was on the wall. Those got messed up a little bit, but they're still functionable. And the last I knew, as far as warranty is concerned, even though TC went to Smith & Wesson, pretty much for the most part, they'll cover everything. If you send the frame back, if you get a problem with it, they'll take a look at it for you, and they'll get back in touch with you and tell you what ought to be done. Make the decision from that point. A lot of the other single shots, I know there's a lot of them out there. There's Harrington Richardson, there's CBA that's coming out. They're getting into the market now. So it's beginning to be a more active type of situation with these different companies getting into the field. Of course, you got your single shot black powder and everything like that. Of course, it's all, most all the black powder stuff is, unless you got a cap and ball revolver, it's all single shot stuff. So you can definitely do a lot with these. And on the next video, I'll cover some of the barrels, and I'll show a setup or two, and possibly, if it's a decent day up here in Maine, maybe even get a chance to get out there and put off a few rounds. So I'll say good day, have yourself a good afternoon, and hope you enjoy the videos. Thank you. Have a great day.